Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Lucha Rewatch Season 3. We are on episode 15, which means that on today's episode, we will be covering Lucha Underground Season 3, episodes 29 and 30. John, I don't know about you, but I absolutely loved the storyline development that we got on these shows, and matches were pretty insane too.
Yeah, the matches were solid, brother, but like you and I always say when we come up here, the narratives, the storyline progression is where Lucha Underground excels above all else. And yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think these two episodes, I believe they're episodes 29 and 30 we're covering today, did that quite well. I'm excited to get into these with you, and let's just dive right in, man.
All right, man. Well, obviously, we're starting with episode 29, titled The Hunger Inside, which is fitting because after we get our recap going over everything that we would be touching on in this episode, we see Dario Cueto approaching Matanza in Matanza's cell with a plate of raw meat. And it's not just a plate, it's like a big-ass platter, too. Like a literal silver platter, but it's not very silver on top because it's covered in blood. And he tells Matanza that his hunger has overcome him. And basically, to sum it up, Matanza needs to keep his human emotions under control because if he keeps letting them get the best of him, the gods might not allow him to continue to keep his humanity. And then he places the platter of raw meat on the ground just out of reach of Matanza and basically in a position where if Matanza wants it, he's going to have to get down on his hands and knees to get to it. So really like trying to humble Matanza, make him control himself. And then he walks out of the room, and then Matanza just kind of starts grunting angrily. So he's pissed.
Yeah, I really appreciated this cinematic because I think it did a great job of kind of, readjusting and kind of reaffirming the original power dynamics. You know what I mean? Because originally it was Dario in control of Matanza, and Matanza seemed, pretty compliant, all things considered. But then you see Matanza start to challenge Dario, shoving him when he gets eliminated from Aztec Warfare, saying, no, I don't want the championship. I want Rey Mysterio. So now he's thinking for himself. He's forming his own desires that aren't an extension of Dario's. Yep. And, that was a very interesting development because I think any other show, right, you would have immediately thereafter the monster kind of emancipate themselves, so to speak, and then just kind of go on their own warpath. But with Lucha Underground, and you know me, because we've talked about our different like booking philosophies and stuff, and like I know that I'm a bigger fan of the slow burn, and I know like it's not that you hate the slow burn, but you feel like it shouldn't always be done to excess. And I feel like Lucha Underground walks that tightrope very well, that they give you just enough where you feel like it's not an agonizing pace, but they don't give you everything all at once. And I think this,
what though, John, I do like the slow burn to some extent in the sense that you have to make me want something before you give it to me. And if you give it to me as soon as I want it, I might get bored with you. So you still have to tease me a little bit. But in the case of like certain, I really, like you said, to excess, I think it really comes down to don't tease me so much that I stop caring about it, so that when you finally do give it to me, I don't care about it.
Right. And see, I feel like this cinematic is very emblematic of that because we can see here that the relationship is definitely still strained, but you can see Dario making a power play. He's teasing Matanza with, the flesh and the stuff that, he can eat. And he's saying, you've got to control yourself. There's still that spark of humanity in you. And, that's what I'm trying to preserve before somebody brings harm to you. But if you keep going on this rampage, it could very easily get snuffed out. And so, and I especially love the imagery at the very end when Dario walks out. You see Matanza put his hand outside the cage. He looks like he's going to grab for the meat, and he doesn't. He stops himself. And, just that little action really shows you the internal struggle of Matanza between his temptation and, his bloodlust versus, his self-control of harnessing it and really making it work for him and the Cueto family rather than just being directionless and destructive. Absolutely. So I thought it was, really good stuff.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It was really well executed. It really, like you said, kind of got over the power dynamic between these two and reestablished it that, Cueto is still the one in charge, even if Matanza could kill him with a pinky if you wanted to.
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better, partner.
All right, then we had our first match of the night, Pindar versus Phoenix. I'm going to let you talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, brother, you know I'm not really into Phoenix matches, and you know we've also agreed that Pindar, the way he advanced in the Cueto Cup, really wasn't anything special. I mean, you know, he did give Phoenix somewhat of a fight, but we talk about how, you know, it's Phoenix. You know, until he comes up against somebody stronger than himself, he's going to prevail, and he does so here. I mean, he doesn't do it this time with like a Fire Thunder driver or even his unique pin. He does it with top rope double knees, which actually did look visually impressive, because that is one thing I'll give Phoenix, is his in-ring work is always crisp and always beautiful. But yeah, not really much to say here. I feel like, yeah, Pindar had his run, and it makes perfect sense that he would get eliminated at this point, because when you look at how he advanced prior, you know, it was questionable to say the least. I mean, in the last episode, I think that was when we talked about how he beat Cage via disqualification because Cage couldn't control himself. So Pindar finally came across somebody that, you know, is focused, is determined to win the Cueto Cup. And yeah, it was just too much for Pindar to bear. So, okay match, but I think it just hit all the points that we'd expected to hit.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I would say as well. It's pretty much what you want, what you expect from the match that they put in place. Because, I mean, yeah, Pindar first he beat Mascarita, and barely, to be fair, and then he won by disqualification over Cage. Meanwhile, Phoenix had to get through both members of the Moth tribe that we know of, and those were both hard-fought battles. I mean, he did basically dominate Mariposa, which I wasn't a big fan of, and we talked about that when we watched that and when we
right.
It. But his match with Marty obviously was brutal, and he got busted open with a knife or a fork and shit. But yeah, he still has basically been tempered in, you know, much more difficult situations than what Pindar's been through. Pindar is still relatively unproven at this point. But anyway, then we get Worldwide Underground without Johnny Mundo in Dario Cueto's office. He talks about how, you know, it must suck for Jack Evans to have his wired shut because he's never at a loss for words. So the irony isn't lost on him. Jack tries talking, but what he does say is completely incomprehensible. PJ tries translating, but fails miserably. And then Cueto tells the Worldwide Underground that he's basically bored of their constant interference of Johnny Mundo's matches. He tells them that if they don't interfere in Mundo's match with El Dragon Azteca Jr. tonight, that he's going to let PJ, Taya, and Ricky get the opportunity to earn 3 Aztec medallions next week for the Gift of the Gods. But the catch is, if they do interfere tonight, their opportunities in Lucha Underground are done and over with, and somebody else will get that opportunity next week.
I like it. You know, even though I'm a huge fan of Worldwide Underground, and, you know, the fan of me is like, how dare you, Dario? You should let Worldwide Underground do whatever they want. Look, it makes sense that if you let a heel faction run around completely unfettered and unchallenged, you know, like, you're never really going to give any kind of technical you're trying to build any kind of credibility that they can win, because it's always been like, oh, Johnny Mundo only retains because of Worldwide Underground. So I think you give the viewer, when even Dario, who is more antagonistic if you had to pick an alignment, but he really does try to stay neutral for the sake of his own entertainment and for building violence. Like, that is his only interest. So when you see him step in and say, you guys can't do this, and then he's like, you know, I want to see you guys, you know, step up and shape up, so you're going to have a chance to compete for Aztec medallions next week. And I felt bad for Jack Evans having his jaw wired shut, because he gets excluded from this because it's Taya, PJ, and Ricky. And, you know, Jack is just so freaking talented. I think his absence, like, season 3 is still my favorite season of all time. But if I could have, like, one thing change, I wish Jack Evans was healthy for this season, because I would have loved to have seen him compete in that match and other matches that he probably would have been booked in. But yeah, I mean,
him and Ivelisse and Angelico both didn't get nearly as much action in season 3 as you and I would have loved.
Oh, absolutely, dude. And you know what's crazy, dude, is like those same 3 performers, I know that if they could, and especially Angelico and Ivelisse, because Jack Evans, like, this is the first problem that he had. But I know if the 3 of them can really stay healthy for a whole season, again, with emphasis on Angelico and Ivelisse, they can set the world on fire. Like, I really believe season 4 and onward, you know, could really be their terrain to really make their impact in Lucha Underground. But unfortunately, in this cinematic, it wasn't to be for Jack Evans just yet. And yeah, I do like that Dario Cueto is kind of, you know, putting the hammer down on these guys and just being like, hey, cut the shit, shape up, And, Mundo's on his own tonight. So definitely
I
builds.
don't really know if I would call it putting down the hammer. Because to be fair, he's basically saying, like, you're doing bad things a lot. If you don't do a bad thing, I'll reward you. Like, to me, if you're going to reward somebody, you reward somebody for doing a good thing, not just stopping doing something shitty that they've been doing. That should just be like, you just expect that. Like, you should punish somebody for doing bad, not reward them for stopping doing the bad thing.
And while you're certainly right about that, we also know that Dario Cueto is far from the conventional authority figure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'm questioning whether Dario Cueto is in character doing this. I'm just saying, because you said, that you like the
right.
Like, yeah.
So yeah,
the Cueto character doing this makes perfect sense, though, for sure.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was pretty much the cinematic, and we can move on.
All right. Up next, we had our second match of the night: Prince Puma, Dante Foxx. Go.
This was just so freaking good. I mean, you've pretty much got, in my mind, two of the best athletes in the temple at this time, and now that Puma's gone, and we can really talk about this openly because I'm sure everybody's seen. What is it? Trevor Mann is his actual name. Trevor Ricochet Man, I think.
Trevor Mann, yeah, Trevor Mann.
Yeah, Trevor Mann. Now that he's gone, I really do think people like El Dragon Azteca and like Dante Foxx really can take that mantle of having the best skill set predicated on athleticism in the temple. And I love El Dragon Azteca, but I would even have to give Dante just the nod just so that he can have the mountain by himself. This guy is absolutely insane with an incredible look. And, I mean, these guys just threw everything at each other. I mean, Dante got an outside dive at one point that looked absolutely sick. Puma giving everything he's got, because you could tell what I really love about Puma's offense is he doesn't always want to just go to the 630. He wants to beat you with something else, but if he needs to, he'll unleash the 630 on you, and that'll get the job done. Dante, tried to go for low man pain at one point, but Puma seemed to have him well scouted. These two just seem to be incredibly well read with each other. They seem to really know each other's repertoires respectively. And this is why I love, too, if I can make like a broader point about the narrative, I love that Dante was permitted to advance this far because he gets to have matches like this. He gets to show everybody how good he is. And then when you think about how their season ended as it relates to the Ultima Lucha event as a whole, not just, ended, it really makes sense that you'd want to build him up this way, that Killshot already got all the buildup he did, in the prior season and a little bit in this season. Because, yeah, these two guys are absolutely magnificent. And keeping the focus on Dante here, he really showed everybody what he was about in this tournament. And he really did look like the whole time that he belonged there and that he wasn't a bit out of place. So, yeah, I loved everything about this. Obviously, I'm talking more about Dante because Dante's my guy. And really, I'm trying to veer away from talking about Puma too much because, he's gone now. And it's going to kind of hurt to kind of, tread that water again when we get to it. But yeah, Puma does ultimately win with the 630, which, by the way, was preceded by a sick as fuck shotgun drop kick.
Yeah.
I mean, God damn. When he mimes...
Eat your heart out, Finn. Eat your heart out.
You know what? I hate to say it, but yeah, eat your heart out because I adore Finn. You know that. Like, he has grown on me immensely, so no disrespect to him. But god damn, Puma's just looking at Dante, actually mimes the shotgun, pulls it out. And then when he hits it, I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, Dante's done. I honestly, and it makes sense because Puma's grown so much on the first season, and he was also that type of character. He had mentors. He was supposed to grow in the temple. I wish he had that shotgun dropkick from day fucking one. Because, god damn, that is a perfect setup maneuver. In fact, I don't know if they'll let him use it because Finn's already using it on the main roster, but I do hope on NXT he keeps it in his repertoire to set up for that 630 because that is a perfect setup maneuver.
Honestly, I don't even know if they'll let him use the 630. I mean, they might give him, or not give him, but they might have him use the Fire Thunder Driver in most situations and maybe only pull out the 630 against guys that he can't use the Fire Thunder Driver on.
Yeah, I got to be truthful, partner. I'm not saying it will happen. This is more my cynicism talking. I would not be surprised if they did let him keep the 630 initially, but then it went the way of the Muscle Buster and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, you can't do it because some freak thing's going to happen to somebody when Ricochet hits it.
I think I trust Ricochet enough that if they let him start using it, I don't think he'll ever do anything even slightly off that would cause them to force him to stop.
I mean, I trust him unequivocally, but I think freak things can still happen. Because I think even when, like, Joe got the muscle buster taken away, that wasn't anything on Joe. It just was, like, this freak thing. And, yeah, I just hope that wouldn't happen.
Right, but the muscle buster is an inherently dangerous move. Because, like, no matter what you do to protect your opponent, you're still going to be cranking their neck pretty hard on that.
That is true. But regardless,
with the 630, like, they could basically protect the opponent by just hitting their head on them. Like, you can literally affect your trajectory so that the only part of your body that hits them is just the back of your head, and even then it barely touches.
Right. But regardless, bringing it back, Puma does win with the 630. He advances in the Cueto Cup. And afterwards, Killshot finally makes his presence felt and is looking to pick the bones, kicks Dante in the face, and then he hits I think he hit the Killer Instinct, the double stomp, and then he just kind of sits and he says, "You're right, Dante. This isn't over between us." So Killshot, like we've been saying, man,
dude, I love that line just because the effect, man, like the way that you just feel the way that Killshot had, like, it was almost like this, like, go fuck yourself vibe to it, and I just loved it.
Oh, dude, I loved it too. I love the Killshot, was just, I don't want to say nice enough. Well, I guess I will say just babyface enough to let Dante have his tournament experience.
To let Dante lose on his own power without trying to force it out of him.
Yeah, because then it's like the shame factor, right? Like, oh, look at that. You couldn't win. And you have nobody to blame but yourself. Like, Killshot wanted Dante to have to carry that inside of him, that he couldn't have any outlet or anybody to blame but himself. And, hell, he even got help at one point, when he faced Son of Havoc, through Son of Madness, right? And it still wasn't enough for Dante to ultimately advance because Puma just was too much. And then Killshot picking the bones, like, yeah, it's just exquisite to watch if you're a Killshot fan because he's finally gotten one up on Dante. And yeah, just keeping it that simple. Nothing more needs to be said. If anything else was said, it probably would have been excessive. And yeah, just another reason why I fucking love this program.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, so then we got a cinematic involving Captain Vasquez and Officer Reyes. They're watching Cage destroy people on an iPad. And specifically, I think it was Cage's match with Reyes as Veneno. And Vasquez says, "Oh, I didn't expect you to do well, but, that's against a god." And Reyes was confused. And he was just like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And Vasquez says, "Well, yeah, he's a god, but he's also a murderer." And then she shows Reyes the pictures of Delgado's smooshed in head. And she says that she wants Reyes to get the gauntlet. And he says, "There isn't a man alive that can take that from Cage." So immediately, like, yes, on the foreshadowing. But
yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, so he walks out and she grabs her half of the amulet and just says, "You may be right." So yeah, the heavy implication of Mill that we would get confirmation on in the next episode. I loved that.
I didn't even think about that until you said it. God, Lucha Underground's so good, man. God damn.
There's not a man alive? Well, okay, I guess I'll just have to get the guy that represents death instead.
Yeah. Oh, that's all right. I've got other resources to handle this from beyond the grave. Wait, what? So, yeah, dude, great cinematic. I mean, just for that point alone, that again, I didn't even catch until you illuminated it to me. That is fan-fucking-tastic, dude. I love that. So I guess we can move on. After that cinematic, we get our main event match, because I know we have, two things after this match, but Johnny Mundo versus El Dragon Azteca. I love the story of this match because El Dragon Azteca is the pupil of Rey Mysterio. Johnny Mundo's been giving Rey Mysterio a lot of grief. Plus, Worldwide Underground attacking Rey cost El Dragon Azteca his spot in the Cueto Cup because Dante capitalized on that and he beat El Dragon Azteca. So El Dragon Azteca has a bone to pick on both fronts. And yeah, I mean, his athleticism's on full display here. He even gets the satellite DDT at one point, which creates a great near fall. Johnny Mundo, just always great at healing it up, taking any shortcut necessary. And ultimately, though, he does win the match on his own through End of the World, which I think was a victory he needed. Not because he was hurting in credibility or anything, but just to show the viewer before the big match with Rey Mysterio, I'm just as capable too. You know, Rey may be a legend, but this is my era right now. I'm the Lucha Underground champion. So I love that they really go out of their way to make El Dragon Azteca Jr. look great here. Yeah. But Johnny Mundo's the one that still gets the win. So I think they did this match perfectly, dude.
Yeah, I love that Azteca is still like this really great challenge, but Mundo really did prove that he isn't just another Pindar. He's not just another, you know, Disciples of Death. He's not another one of these guys that only wins because of outside interference. He can hold his own. He can, you know, go toe-to-toe with the best that Lucha Underground has to offer and win, and he did here tonight.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better, bro. And yeah, I guess with that said, we can move on because, you know, after the match, we have got, you know, Rey Mysterio coming out, checking on El Dragon Azteca. You know, he's really proud of his efforts, obviously, you know, being a good mentor. But then Worldwide Underground, you know, they start to attack Rey.
I mean, to be fair, Rey came out because Mundo didn't stop. Like, Mundo wrapped a chair around El Dragon Azteca's neck and tried to do an end of the world on it, and Rey came out.
he was straight up threatening El Dragon Azteca's welfare, and obviously Rey, having a vested interest in Azteca's development, is like, well, fuck that, you know, and he comes out and he makes the save, and it seems like, you know, Mundo's gonna walk away and this and that, and, you know, commentary's talking about, oh, you know, Rey, you know, saving Azteca, and then Rey kind of rejoins his family in celebration and this and that. But then Worldwide Underground comes out. They start to attack until security, you know, does the whole breakup thing. And then Mundo, you know, he comes back down, and then he gets face-to-face with Dominic. You know, he's talking trash to the whole family, and then he gets to Dominic. He's like, wow, Dominic, you've gotten pretty big. And Dominic's like, yeah, I have. Like, almost like Dominic has that tone, like, just try something. Just give me a reason, please. And you know, they keep talking a little bit of trash, and Mundo just tells Dominic to his face, more or less, that your father's nothing. There's no way in hell he's gonna beat me and take this Lucha Underground championship from me. And then Dominic gets off in it. Who the hell do you think you're talking to? And you know, Dominic's just, you know, feeling the pride in his family and this and that. And then he shoves Mundo. It seems like it's getting heated between those two. And then when security is like trying to come between them, and Mundo seems like he's gonna back off, turns around and he clocks Dominic with the Lucha Underground Championship.
Yes!
Which leaves Rey absolutely freaking incensed. So, yeah, I was so happy to see this. I mean, anybody that knows me, you guys know that there is nothing I find more delectable than the suffering of others. And just seeing Dominic laying there, all pathetic and passed out after getting hit with Johnny Mundo's Lucha Underground Championship. I mean, it may not be Nirvana, but it's the closest I'm ever going to get to it, folks. I mean, that was just...
Are you going to start singing Smells Like Teen Spirit now?
Yeah, you know what? I've never even, you know, listened. I know where that's from, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter because Dominic learned his place because he's pathetic, just like his father. And this was just amazing to relive.
It's a Nirvana song.
Yeah, I never listened to it, and I don't care. So, yeah, Dominic gets laid out. Worldwide Underground is dominant, and that's all I can say about that. And then we go to our next cinematic, our closing cinematic, Phoenix, Melissa, and Marty the Moth. So, brother, take us through this.
Well, first thing we see is Melissa walking out of the temple, Phoenix not far behind, and he asks her if he can tell her something in the car. And she's just like, yeah, sure. And then they start walking. And as they're walking, she asks him, hey, do you always wear that mask? And he says, no, not always. Always when I fight, but not always. And then, you know, he continues. And she's just like, hey, I'm tired after that show. You want to carry me? And she gets a piggyback ride from him. So he continues. And then we kind of cut over to behind another car. And we see Marty the Moth. And he says, she won't like you when I take away your mask. And then he just starts to go into a laughing fit. So,
yeah, Marty is absolutely brilliant. I completely agree with him. I mean, once he exposes that Uggo face, everything will be ruined. It sounds like a perfectly sound plan to me with no flaws whatsoever. So, you ready to get into episode 30?
Let's get into episode 30. We obviously start with a recap, but then we get right into our first match, which is the match that we got teased about last week, involving the rest of the Worldwide Underground. Rabbit Tribe versus PJ Black, Taya, and Ricky Mandel. And it is still Mandel at this point, so I can call him that.
Yeah, it is. God, Ricky Mandel is so freaking worthless. There's one point that he does the Johnny Mundo pose, which I'm going to say for the umpteenth time, you haven't earned the fucking right. But he does it, and the Rabbit Tribe do the whole ring around the rosy kind of thing to him, which leaves him totally bewildered because he's not a ring general. He's not a freaking veteran. He's an oaf. All right. He's just worthless freaking oaf. And Jack Evans was honestly the MVP of this match to me because he's doing his signing with the card pictures. Like, oh, if I was in this match, it would have already been over and, stuff like that. So I thought that was freaking great. Ty and PJ, bless their hearts. I mean, they're like a centipede with a busted leg. You're just hoping and praying that the other 99 legs can do the work, and they're trying their hearts out. Really, to me, the spot of this match that I loved, because I've told you that I really became a Rabbit Tribe guy through these rewatches, is that Saltador, Mala Suerte, they're set up in the corner. Ty is looking to do the double knees, but then Paul London comes in at the last second. He's like, wait. We do everything together. And then he gets in position so that all three of them get the double knees from Taya. I thought that was freaking great. Ultimately, though, Worldwide Underground, despite their best efforts and a significant handicap with the existence of Ricky Mandel, do fall short to the Rabbit Tribe because Paul London hits the, I think it's called the Through the Looking Glass, the shooting star press.
Yeah.
To Ricky Mandel for the 3 count. How this man has not been excommunicated from Worldwide Underground is beyond me. That spot clearly should have been mine. And I know. And before people say, oh, but it was inspired by you, John. Yeah, it's as tired as Ricky Mandel's offense. Oh, wait, I can't say that because he never freaking gets any. He's fucking hopeless. But Rabbit Tribe wins, so there are worse things in life. At least a great trio got Aztec Medallion. So yeah, fun match. And again, that spot with them and Taya was just great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was. I gotta tell you, man, Worldwide Underground's pretty amazing, but man, that Ricky Mandel guy, he needs to go.
Yeah, he definitely needs to have, be the trash that is taken out down the road. Hopefully that happens in season 4, but that remains to be seen. Speaking of Worldwide Underground, though, we have a Worldwide Underground cinematic after this. And Ashton, what did you think about it? Take us through it.
Yeah, I love this, man, because it's Benji talking about how, if it was up to me, you would all be fired for losing to whack jobs who worship carrots. But it's not up to me. It's up to Johnny. And thankfully for you, Johnny Mundo has a heart of gold.
He does, though.
I do have a heart of gold, he says. And then he's like, I've got offers from all over for photo ops and movies and all these things. Then I can do anything I want. But at the end of the day, all I really want is to stay Lucha Underground champion. And Ty's just like, that's all we want too. God, she's such a good fiance. And then, he basically says, well, good, but you need to get better at your jobs and making sure that I keep this if you want to stick around, if you want me to stick around. Because if you don't, I'm basically out of here, is basically what he's saying. It's like he just comes down to like, yeah, if you don't help me more, if you don't get better, if you don't step up, I'm done. And he's basically holding his fame over their heads. And then he just kind of, he's talking about, he's got to get out of here. And then Benji says, oh, you've got a photo op. And then he's just like, oh, God, please, no more sick kids. I can't get sick.
Do you blame him, though? I mean, who wants
and then, of course, after the sick kids come in, too, Benji's just like, see, guys, heart of gold.
Exactly. Like, nobody wants to deal with sick children. He's the Lucha Underground champion. If he gets sick, that means his immune system is compromised. If his immune system is compromised, that means he's not at 100% to defend his Lucha Underground championship. I think the logic is flawless here, personally. So, yeah, can't blame Johnny Mundo. Hashtag no sick kids. Make another wish. But, yeah, really fun cinematic. I can't believe I'm about to say this sentence. I kind of disagree with Johnny that all the blame should be on Worldwide Underground as a whole, when really the focus should be Ricky Mandel since he, ate the pin. But I could understand how he feels like, look, as a collective, either you all succeed or you all fail, and whichever one you do is a reflection of me and my magnificent abs. Obviously, he didn't say that, but, you know, you might as well just extrapolate it. Fun cinematic, can't complain, still loving Worldwide Underground, and I guess we can move on.
All right, then. Up next, we got our second match of the night, Jeremiah Crane versus Mil Muertes. Doesn't really even get a chance to properly start right away because Mil attacks Jeremiah from behind.
I feel like this was legalized homicide. Like, Mil Muertes destroyed this dude. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Jeremiah came back at times. You know, he got his cannonball into the chairs and stuff. But, I mean, that Reaper's Trident by Mil, first of all, because he got that in this match. I think Mil is one of the best spears in the business right now. And, like, every time he does it, I'm like, ooh, count your ribs. And, you know, just whenever it's anything goes, I feel like Mil thrives. Because it's essentially saying that, wow, all the ways that I would love to hurt a person on a regular basis, I can do that. And there's going to be little to no consequence whatsoever. And, yeah, I personally love this match. I still think it was Jeremiah's best match in the Temple. Because he really did take it to Mil, you know, and even towards the end, I love that he's still kind of fighting, despite all the offense he's eating, you know, pump kicks to Mil and trying to get something going. But then he makes the mistake, right, of going to the top rope. He gets caught by Mil in a jumping flatliner because, you know, Mil's just like, oh, yeah, I am that awesome. And he gets the 3 count. I mean, brother, I feel like you've been preaching the gospel of Muertes for a while. I mean, is there any advice you would like to impart to this poor, unfortunate soul that actually thought he could win?
You really need me to say anything at this point? He got dominated. Mil Muertes just obliterated his face and ultimately ended up winning with a flatliner. But then the post-match is going to be like, wow.
Yeah, because Katrina does the kiss of death, and Jeremiah seems into it because he's smiling afterwards, and Katrina doesn't really seem opposed either, even though we know where her real feelings lie, right? I mean, she definitely, like, loves, you know, lording that power over Mil and stuff like that. Mil not liking anything that's happening right now. Boots Jeremiah in the head, and I think he hit another flatliner on him, if I'm not mistaken, like, really punctuating, like, stay the fuck down and stay away from my woman. So yeah, Muertes is malicious. Muertes is dominance. And no, I'm not going to do that stupid Charlotte voice because we are in the presence of greatness when talking about Mil Muertes. And Muertes advances in the Cueto Cup. Dude, honestly, I will say, again, we already kind of talked earlier about Ricochet leaving. I am so glad Mil Muertes is still with us, though, because my God, he is so good. He really is like one of those, a guy that you could call the glue of Lucha Underground. I think there are a few performers that fit that mold, and I would definitely classify Mil Muertes as one of them. Just an
absolutely. He is the ultimate glue. Like, he's the guy. He is like the heart and soul of Lucha Underground to me.
Yeah, Gorilla Glue Muertes, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, great matchup. But let's move on. Now here we get a very interesting cinematic. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I just saw the next matchup we'll have to talk about after the cinematic. It's the debut of Agent Winter. And Ashton, what do you think about this?
I love this cinematic, dude. This was the shining moment of this series for me. Like, this part of the series, like the episodes that we watched, was just this cinematic. Agent Winter is like a 90s pop song. He's really cheery and happy, but then when you really listen to what's being said, it's depressing and scary as hell. Like, listen to that Bittersweet Symphony song by the Verve Pipe, or, you know, the song Lightning Crashes by Live. Like, any like random 90s song that sounds a little bit kind of happy, cheery, but maybe is a little more underneath. That's Agent Winter here, because he's this smiley, happy, good-looking black dude, and then, like, you know, he likes the apocalypse. He wants the apocalypse to happen. He's a big fan of the apocalypse, and he's like really into the idea of flesh burning. It's horrifying.
I feel like me and him would get along really well. Like, I low-key kind of want to talk to him a little bit. But yeah, I love it. I think the delivery on the line, like, oh, I love what you're doing here, Dario, and I'm especially a fan of that Pentagon. And Dario's like, well, who is that? Like, almost like, he's got to feel himself like, yeah, I'll run this shit. And then Agent Winter is just like, oh, it's a shame his flesh will have to burn along with everyone else's when the end comes. It's like, holy fuck, dude. That's like when you're talking to somebody about the latest trading cards or something you got, and then you're just like, yeah, it's just a shame that I have to go back to this really shit situation, so I won't even really be able to appreciate them. Like, you're just talking about something so cheerful and fun, and like, yeah, everybody has fun. And then it's like, just the mood is killed. Or like I used to say, borrowing a joke from the Nostalgia Critic, like, I just won the lottery. And then somebody comes in and like, yeah, but 9/11 still happened. Like, what the fuck, man? So yeah, Agent Winter, man, definitely knows how to kill a mood. And as we would find out later in the season, he definitely has a hand at least trying to kill other things. But we'll get to that when we get to it.
No, Dario! God, please let him still be alive.
I definitely believe the fan rumors of well, not the fan rumors, but like the analysis of hearing the heartbeats at the end. I'm sure he's fine.
I know.
So, what was that, Ashton?
I said I know, but still.
I know you have every right to be concerned. Nobody puts our Dario in jeopardy. So after that, we get our final quarterfinal matchup with the Cueto Cup: Tejano versus Pentagon Dark. God, this match was so fucking funny to me, and not even like the match itself, but the post-match. I have so many problems. I'm so glad I get to talk about this. So yeah, the match itself is pretty much nothing, right? Like, it's a solid back and forth, but you guys know that I find Tejano to be, well, what's that one dominant word? Bland. And Pentagon Dark is, solid. Famous B tries to help him by sliding a horseshoe in there, but, Pentagon is the one that actually clocks Tejano with it. So, he gets the 3 count there. And then when he goes to break Tejano's arm, Famous B's like, oh, don't do it, Pentagon, please, please. He's my client. I gotta, protect my client. And then when Pentagon seems like he's gonna back off, Famous B, for whatever reason, starts shooting his mouth off. He's like, yeah, that's right. Go on, get.
I love the line. I love the line though when he actually finally gets him. Like he's getting in the ring and he's trying to get away. He just says, "Get on away from around his arm. Get, attaboy." As Pentagon's talking about, like the delivery on that is just gold. And then yeah, like you said, when he finally does manage to get Pentagon to go away, the arrogance and just that's right, that's what I'm talking about kind of thing. Like yes.
And then where it gets really hilarious, if you're messed up in a multitude of ways like myself, is that Pentagon lays him out and then he grabs the arm. So you know what it's about to happen. Like, he is about to get traumatized all over again. And he's even saying like, no. And, just like Aerostar, just like everybody else. And when Pentagon breaks his arms, when I tell you Famous B's screams, like, I might have actually found something better than Xavier Woods' cry face. Because Famous B's screams are the funniest fucking shit. Like, the agony is just palpable. Like, he sounds like he just got shot and he's slowly bleeding out and he knows help isn't coming, so he's going to die. It is the funniest fucking shit imaginable to me. And, like, Pentagon, if I found it delicious, Pentagon probably fed on that shit. He's practically immortal at this point for all the arms he's broken. And then this was less funny, which is actually kind of ironic given how, my relationship with Brenda on the podcast. But she goes in for comfort, but then she gets her arm broken too. And I'll tell you what I really like about this, because we've always talked about like the intergender aspect of Lucha Underground. I like that it doesn't even matter that Brenda's not only a woman, which, that's something in and of itself. We have female competitors, that's well established, but she is a valet. And that's what I love about it even more. Like, nobody is spared from Pentagon's wrath, which makes sense for the character. Like, if a show would put limits like, oh, you can't break this arm, I feel like that would be a betrayal to what the character's supposed to be about. So you really see when he does this to me, the commitment to who the character is on Lucha Underground's end. And I really, really appreciate that. It's just like I talked about with Marty and Nikki Cross, I want to say last week or 2 weeks ago. Like, I can't get into Nikki Cross because I know there isn't a commitment on NXT side to really take the craziness that she's trying to portray to its logical conclusion. But Lucha Underground, with both Marty and Pentagon, take these very dark characters to their logical conclusions, and that's that anybody can get hurt. We don't give a shit. And I really, really appreciate that because that just strengthens my investment. You know what I mean? And it strengthens my investment in the struggle with whatever babyface steps up and says, hey, man, not cool. You know, it works. And yeah, I really love this post-match. And Famous B, I'm sorry, brother, but I used to laugh at Vinny Massaro when he got his arm broken. I think I'll be laughing at Famous B for some time. This was just too good.
Yeah. I mean, I love Vinny, but at the end of the day, Famous B is the king of selling the arm break.
Yeah, without a doubt, dude.
Although I will say Brenda did a pretty damn good job too, because she got her arm broken and like her just squeal of pain was pretty great.
Yeah, absolutely. So one last cinematic, and it's a pretty fucking big one. Captain Vasquez has a meeting with Katrina. Partner, walk us through it.
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing was great. I mean, we've got, first of all, the cop just showing up and being like, hey, there's some lady here that says her name's Katrina, no last name, was great. But then let's talk about the fact that this was the big segment that revealed the relationship between these two. And also, I love how much exposition we got here, too, because Vasquez explains, like, listen, a god is going to possess Cage through that gauntlet. She says about how the gods are coming, and when they're united, everyone will suffer, not just you or me. And then we also got the whole, like, Katrina isn't really alive, but she also isn't really dead. She literally says she's stuck between two realms like a ghost. Vasquez says about how she needs Mill and says, when I get the gauntlet, you get your life back. So literally, once Katrina gets that gauntlet to Vasquez will give Katrina the other half of the amulet. And Katrina will be like a fully realized actual human being. She might even be mortal. I mean, she'll still be immortal, but she might not be able to teleport anymore. I don't even know. We'll find out if it happens. And that's a big if, because it might not, because I mean, the gauntlet's not in Katrina's possession by the end of the season. We know that. And then Katrina says, like, oh, I don't fear death. What are you talking about? Or no, that's right. She says, without the other half of the amulet, you will no longer be immortal. And then that was Vasquez that says, I don't fear death. I fear the gods. And then Katrina says, well, soon the gods will learn to fear death, and specifically 1,000 of them. Well, it seems like we have a deal. Mother.
Yeah. Unfucking believable, dude. Unfucking believable. I mean, this to me, honestly, was the revelation of the season to me. This relationship and its implications, because as you rightly pointed out, it's not just what happens when Katrina gets full possession of the amulet, both on her and Vasquez's end of losing her immortality. It's the relationship these two share. So there is so much in this cinematic that got dropped on us, and I know we parceled it out very carefully, in the initial review of this show. And yeah, like, it all stands. Like, this was an A-bomb dropped on us in the best possible way. It immediately kind of provokes, more intrigue in us in both the Katrina character and the Vasquez character. And, for me personally, it makes you root for Katrina to achieve this goal. Even if you're not cheering for her specifically, you're cheering for the narrative and its implications for what happens when, this goal is attained, when the gauntlet is in Vasquez's possession, when the amulet is in Katrina's possession. And what does this mean for the Luchaverse? Like, how does it change? How drastically does it change? And yeah, like, just so many questions and so many emotions. And cinematics like this are really where Lucha Underground is at its best, because it just leaves you thinking, my God, I don't want to wait till next week, but I am going to endure the wait because stories like this make it freaking worth it. I love this, dude. I loved everything about it.
Yeah, this was just great. I love the exposition. I love the big reveal. And I love that the last word, the singular last word of this episode was mother, and that was the bomb drop. I love it, man.
Yeah, dude, because that's the big thing, right? And I love... You know what's so great, to your point about it being the last word, is that, like, since nothing comes after that, they permit the full weight of the revelation contained in that one word to really sink in. Because it's not like, oh, mother, and then, this and this and that, like, I'll get the gauntlet. No, it's just like, mother, and then it's like, wait, what? And then they leave you with it. They leave you with it to process. It's so good, dude. Such amazing television this show is.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just almost too good for its own good, to be honest.
Yeah, really. It's just got so many narrative workings right now that I'm really curious how they're going to juggle them all in season 4, which can't get here soon enough, by the way.
Yeah, dude, believe me. We were talking about this the other day when we were recording about how, you know, this is like we're 3/4 of the way through Lucha Rewatch. We only have 5 weeks left to do this. And I mean, shit, in 5 weeks, we're talking about it only being March 7th. So we're kind of cutting ourselves short here, but like, I don't know what else to do. Like, we can't drag it out because that would get obnoxious. And even I could admit that. And it's not like we're getting shit tons of views with these episodes or anything. So we're going to have to go like 2 months without Lucha. That's going to kill me.
I wonder if we should do... I mean, am I free to put an idea out here live? Because I know you've kind of done that.
Go ahead and put the idea out there. Because even if I'm weary about it, if our audience is in love with the idea and they're like, yes, do it. Yes, 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 please. In the comments down below, I'll probably be like, fine. Like, I might not be super into the idea of forcing this content, but if the audience wants it, the audience gets it. So yeah.
I know we always do like trailer analysis. So I feel like what I'm kind of thinking would be overkill anyway when we already do that. But would you want to do like a week or so before the premiere, like maybe like an anticipation bit, like the things that we really want?
You know for a fact that we are going to do that. I mean, I shouldn't say you know for a fact, but yes, I was planning on us doing that. Like,
yeah, like at least like a top
season
5
3, like a season 3 overview, season 4 hype, and then of course we'll do a trailer reaction when that drops and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, because like that seems like stuff where it's almost like, you know, we build the anticipation and everything else. Because I agree with you, you can't drag stuff like this.
It would be really wonderful to just find out randomly drops in like the middle of March.
What's that?
More Lucha Underground comics. God damn, I want more Lucha Underground.
I want more fucking comics, man. Like, no, I'm right there with you. Like, the comics were genuinely good. And and here's the thing, dude, I'm going to be truthful, and I think you know this too. I doubt we're ever going to get them again. They seem to be a one-time thing. But like, how genius to utilize every like aesthetic medium, right, to convey what's going on in your universe, especially between airings. Like, that's what I thought made it so smart, because like these are genuinely entertaining, they're quality filler, and like they answer questions that either we have been asking in a way, or maybe
they could use the comics to kill off Sexy Star. That would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I just love that Lucha Underground is not shy about using any medium at its disposal to tell a story. And like, yeah, I would love more comics. Hell, even some like maybe YouTube short films on their channel that maybe give exposition on certain things. I don't freaking know. But like, yeah, I would love more too. But yeah, man, like I definitely think as we get closer to season 4, we'll do some other cool content. Like, I love the trailer analysis that we do again. Season 4 hype video sounds great, because you know a lot of my wrestling wish list, a lot of it has to do with Lucha Underground season 4. And yeah, like that all sounds great to me. In the meantime, though, this does close out episode 30. This does close out episode 15 overall of Lucha Underground Rewatch. Yeah. And I think I'm just going to hand it over to you to take us home, bud.
All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you enjoyed this episode of Lucha Underground Season 3 Rewatch. I know we enjoyed watching these episodes again and then talking about them. Of course, if you did enjoy, remember to leave a like on the video, leave a comment down below, let us know. You know, John, I was kind of expecting you to come out with maybe like a superstar, or not a superstar, a luchador spotlight idea. But if people are interested in that, I would be down to start doing those after the end of Lucha Rewatch Season 3, just to put that idea out into the universe. Let us know if you're interested in that down in the comments. Of course, remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And once you do, remember to click the bell icon that pops up so you can get notified every single time we go live or upload a video, which is rarer but does occasionally happen. All of the links to our Lucha Underground content-related playlists are in the description. We've got Rewatch Seasons 1 through 3. That's the one we're on right now. We've got live reactions and TWitWoW reviews for Season 3 down there, since those are relevant to what we're watching now. And, of course, you can support us by either buying our merch on Teespring or donating to our Patreon. It's only $3 a month to get you access to the official TWitWoW patron Discord, and that money accumulates over time so that you can purchase live reaction requests to wrestling shows of your choosing, or if you want to go a little further, you can get a live reaction and a review in a combo for 50% more of just the live reaction. So it's a little bit of an increase in the price, but you get double the value for it. I think that's a pretty great deal. And again, that's to a wrestling show of your choosing. And on top of all that, you keeping us over our community goal allows us to continue live reacting to Progress every single Tuesday. We've been enjoying that so far, and we're hoping to be able to continue live reacting to that until we get to the point that we're caught up, which would happen sometime in the middle of next year. So like summer of 2019. And then we would probably have to change the community goal to something else or something. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So then remember to follow us both on Twitter. John's pinned tweet is something you can reply to ask Q&A questions for the month of February. Our February Q&A will be on, I believe, February 22nd. Is that right, John?
Yes, that is correct, partner.
Okay, so that's February 22nd. And if you want to go on my Twitter, the schedule is my pinned tweet, but it's a little bit outdated right now. I have to update it after we get off this hangout. I'll be sure to update the schedule and tweet that and then pin that tweet so that you know that it's the updated one. I'll even say something in the tweet like, oh, hey, this is the updated schedule on 131, just so everyone knows that that's the correct one and not to go by the one that's on there as we're speaking right now. Of course, remember to like the Facebook page, check out the subreddit, and I will see you guys tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. for our day 2 of New Beginning in Sapporo live reactions, main evented by none other than Kenny Omega versus Switchblade for the United States Championship. See you there, guys. And of course, remember to stay tuned.